You ever wondered why some countries face long-term obstacles to develop while others progress more quickly? Well, today we'll explore this by looking at four countries in specific: Venezuela, Brazil, Nigeria, and Bangladesh, each representing one core challenge: political instability, wealth exclusion, brain drain, and environmental vulnerability. First, we will look at the country of Venezuela. Venezuela is located in northern South America and is filled with vast oil reserves and a once-strong economy. But over the past 2 decades, it has experienced severe political instability. Leadership disputes, contested elections, hyperinflation, and mass protests have dominated the country's recent history, leading to millions of Venezuelans to flee in search of safety and economic stability. Research by economists at Harvard University explain that political instability, such as frequent leadership changes, protests, and government crises, directly slows down economic growth. Investors become hesitant, businesses struggle to plan ahead, and government agencies cannot maintain long-term programs. Venezuela demonstrates this clearly. Hyperinflation, shortages of basic goods, and mass immigration are all tied to the country's unstable politics. Each political crisis worsens economic conditions, which makes it harder for the country to recover and grow. Next, we'll look at the country of Brazil. Brazil is the largest country in South America, famous for its size, culture, and economic power. Yet it also has some of the highest levels of inequality in the world. Wealthy neighborhoods and poor communities often exist side by side. Political scientist Patrick Meyer explains a concept called wealth exclusion, which is where a small group holds most of the wealth and political influence in a country. This doesn't just create income inequality, it creates structural barriers that prevent many people from accessing good education, healthcare, and economic opportunities. Brazil demonstrates wealth exclusion very clearly. Historically, land ownership and wealth have always been concentrated among elites, and this pattern continues today. As Meyer notes, when elites control resources, they often shape public policy to benefit themselves rather than the rest of society. This helps explain why Brazil faces ongoing corruption scandals, frustration with political institutions, and large inequalities to access to public services. Even when Brazil's economy grows, the benefits often fail to reach the millions of people that need it the most. Brazil's development challenge, therefore, is not only about growing its economy, but making the growth more inclusive. Wealth exclusion remains one of the biggest obstacles to social and economic progress. Next, we are going to dive into the country of Nigeria. Nigeria is Africa's most populous country and a major economic power, known for its oil industry, cultural influence, and growing tech scene. However, despite these positive factors, the country has struggled to establish itself as a stable and inclusive economy with strong institutions, reliable public services, and opportunities for all of its citizens. This is partially because of what economists know as brain drain. Brain drain is defined as the emigration of highly trained or intelligent people from a particular country. In a 2023 video by YouTuber Economics Explained, he highlights that the most intelligent people in the country tend to have the highest incomes, leading to them paying higher taxes. When those workers leave, countries like Nigeria receive way less tax money and also lose their workers that have the highest chance of driving innovation to make the country wealthier. This loss creates a cycle that makes it even harder for Nigeria to grow. Hospitals and schools struggle to function properly without enough skilled doctors and teachers. Businesses face shortages of trained engineers and tech workers, and with fewer professionals contributing to the economy and paying taxes, the government has less money to invest in public services or development projects. In other words, the departure of these talented individuals not only weakens institutions, but also slows economic progress, making it challenging for Nigeria to fully realize its potential as a leading African economy. Lastly, we will look at the country of Bangladesh. Bangladesh is a South Asian country located between India and Myanmar. It's home to over 170 million people, making it the 8th most populated country in the world. However, the country ranks 92nd out of all countries in total size, making it one of the most densely populated countries in the world. Despite its size and population pressures, Bangladesh has made remarkable progress in recent decades. It has improved literacy rates, expanded access to healthcare, and become a global hub for the garment industry, which provide jobs to the millions of people that live there. However, the country faces serious challenges due to its geography. Most of Bangladesh lies in the low-lying delta of the Ganges, Brahmaputra, and Meghna rivers. This makes it extremely vulnerable to floods, cyclones, river erosion, and rising sea levels caused by climate change. Millions of people live in areas that are regularly threatened by these natural disasters, which can destroy their homes, farmland, and infrastructure in a single event. Economist Dirksen Schmidt explained that this kind of instability disrupts the flow of resources, labor, and investment. Businesses are hesitant to invest in areas at risk of flooding. Farmers cannot plan for predictable harvests, and government agencies spend more on emergency response than on sustainable development. This creates a cycle where environmental shocks weaken institutions and slow economic progress, even as the country makes impressive gains in other areas. And Bangladesh has shown extraordinary resilience throughout this, but these constant environmental pressures make long-term growth difficult. As Dirksen Schmidt research shows, when a country is forced to repeatedly rebuild rather than plan ahead, its institutions become strained and progress slows. Bangladesh's situation is a clear example of how even a nation that is improving its education, health, and industry can still be held back by the recurring instability. Understanding this makes it easier to see how environmental vulnerability belongs alongside things like political instability, inequality, and brain drain as one of the major barriers countries face when they're trying to build a stable and prosperous future. In conclusion, Venezuela, Brazil, Nigeria, and Bangladesh each face very different obstacles, but together they show just how complicated development really is. Venezuela demonstrates how political instability can disrupt economies, scare away investment, and push millions to leave their homes, while Brazil highlights how wealth exclusion and extreme inequality keep opportunities out of the reach for huge parts of the population, even when the country as a whole is growing. Nigeria reveals the costly effects of brain drain, where the departure of skilled professionals weakens schools, hospitals, and entire industries. And Bangladesh shows how environmental risks like floods and cyclones can repeatedly damage communities and force governments to spend more time repairing than advancing. Each of these problems is different, yet they all share a common theme. They prevent countries from being able to plan, grow, and build a stable future. When a nation is constantly dealing with political turmoil, unfair distribution of wealth, the loss of its most talented workers, or relentless natural disasters, long-term development becomes incredibly difficult. These challenges affect not just economies, but the daily lives and hopes of the millions of people that live there. Looking at these four countries reminds us that development is not just about money or resources. It's about stability, fairness, opportunity, and the ability to manage risks, whether those risks come from the government, society, or the environment. It shows that progress isn't guaranteed. It depends on the institutions at work, citizens who feel included, and systems strong enough to handle stress and change. But it also shows something else: determination. All four of these countries continue working toward improvement, despite the obstacles they face. People continue building businesses, going to school, participating in politics, and pushing for a better future. Understanding the challenges they face is a first step toward creating solutions. Solutions that include stronger institutions, more inclusive policies, better support for professionals, and smarter ways to protect communities from environmental threats. As we think about the global future, these stories remind us that development is different for everyone. It requires understanding each country's unique struggles and strengths. By studying these four countries, we gain a clear picture of what it truly takes to build a stable, prosperous, and sustainable society, and why helping countries overcome these barriers is essential, not just for their futures, but for our shared global progress.